I might do some ASMR for everybody. Hello and welcome back to the Community Chronic Ills. I really have to emphasize the ills because it's a joke. Laugh, damn it. I know I can't hear you, but if you're watching this, number one, thank you for putting up with my bullshit. Number two, laugh at my jokes. All right, so this week on episode 4, I want to talk about the effects of chronic illness on your social life. One of the most debilitating symptoms of my chronic disease, DAS, is cataplexy. Cataplexy is the loss of muscle tone due to heightened emotions. I also get it with pain from my lupus, and I get it with laughter or joy or all of the fun emotions and not so fun emotions. Stress also makes me more prone to cataplexy. So if I have a baseline level of stress to begin with, and then say it's hot outside, then I am going to have cataplexy a lot quicker than if those things weren't factors. Mind you, with cataplexy, I am completely conscious and I can hear people. I just can't move my muscles. For example, when I was in high school, I ran a half marathon in Disneyland. Obviously, it was hot, I was tired, I was stressed, and it was late at night. All of those are perfect ingredients to form a shitstorm. I was waiting in line for the Cars ride and I was super excited, and it had been a really big day. I had a big ass medal hanging on my body, bling bling. I started having cataplexy in the line for the ride. I was 18 and I was standing in line with my mom. I had not had any alcohol in my system. However, the Disneyland employee told me very rudely that if I could not get myself together, then I wasn't going to be able to ride the ride. She thought that I had been slinging back tequila shots when nope, my body just was screwing me over. I'm a people pleaser and I don't like making people upset, and so for me, when people think that I'm doing something wrong, I have a really hard time coping with it because number one, it's embarrassing that I'm having cataplexy in public. At least I find it embarrassing that I'm having cataplexy in public, and it makes me really pissed off for someone to think that not only was I making an ass of myself, but that I was drunk and disorderly. It's really upsetting. And so that kind of just creates a level of trauma. You try to avoid situations that are going to cause you to be vulnerable to attack. I went to the Jonas Brothers concert with a group of friends, and it had been a really long day, it had been a stressful day, and obviously I was excited to see the Joe Bros. The odds were stacked against me, and I was excited, and so I start having cataplexy. We had nosebleed seats, and I was really, really worried about walking up the steps. I tried to be proactive. I approached security and explained that I had a medical condition that causes me to lose muscle control, and that I was worried about walking up the steps. So they finally get me like a chair or a wheelchair or something to sit in, and some security officer, this lady, she was a little bitch, comes up to me and she's like, "How much have you had to drink tonight?" I remained cool and collected for a split second. I was like, "I haven't drank anything, I have a medical condition," and she kept pushing, which then caused me to have more cataplexy. So my friend got in her face, but the damage was done. It was at the BOK Center in Oklahoma, and I actually had Billie Eilish tickets for the next weekend that I sold. Blatantly being discriminated against is very traumatic, and especially at a young age, it causes you to avoid putting yourself in situations that might result in that again. So this weekend, I got invited to an outdoor concert with my friend Amanda. It's been a really stressful week, and it's really, really hot outside. I was afraid that if I went to the concert and started having cataplexy, then I would be mistaken as drunk and disorderly. Especially as I get older, it's really, really hard to have symptoms in public without people thinking that you are drunk. This isolates me from my peers and causes me to not participate in fun 22-year-old activities such as concerts or going to bars and just living life to the fullest. I try to put myself out there as much as possible and resist the urge to hole up in my home with my puppies and never do anything social. A lot of what I do is dependent on who I'm with and whether or not they have experience with me having severe cataplexy, especially when there's so much trauma surrounding not only getting diagnosed with your chronic illness and people thinking that you're faking it and people thinking that you're just being dramatic. There's that element of trauma, but then in addition to that trauma, you have been accused of doing things that are illegal or frowned upon or not in alignment with your character. It causes huge psychological detriments to people with chronic illness. So chronic illness can isolate you socially in examples that I stated earlier, where, I've been accused of being drunk for having cataplexy that is completely out of my control. But it also can result from being exhausted and having to either say no to hanging out with friends and doing fun things, or doing the fun things and then paying the price because you push too far and you flare. Having to weigh those options also, whether or not you want to risk getting worse or if you want to miss out, those things also cause huge amounts of stress. And chronic illness, it's no secret, worsens with stress. People only give you so many chances. If half the time people invite you to do fun things and you have to say no because of circumstances that are out of your control and are due to your chronic illness, they're less likely to invite you to do other things. The more and more you say no, the more and more people forget about you, it feels like. I also have to stress about, medications that I'm taking. Travel is really, really stressful for me. I take a medication that sedates me at night. Not only has chronic illness affected my social life in adulthood, but since I've been sick for as long as I can remember, it played a huge part in my childhood and almost forming my personality. I don't know. Trauma's a bitch. And so am I. Ha ha ha. Is this episode done yet? Have I recorded enough? No one actually watches this shit, so it's okay.